Draft physics video again. Yes, comments. I don't know who these individuals are. There's certain individuals, I guess, who are just obsessed with, you know, me in some way, and they just go on and on in just totally useless ways, and just say, what is their motivation? Because I don't get it. They think these idiotic arguments are going to change my mind, and it's just insane. Anyway, so he says more fucking demagoguery. Jesus, if only you were put on trial. And yes, I'd love it. I'll pay professionals to put me on trial, to put my theory on trial. I've offered them money to convict me, and they still won't do it. Because it ain't going to be that easy, asshole. Because you're the assholes, quite obviously. I mean, you play their entire argument, you respond in detail to their assertions, they never respond to yours. I mean, I can just keep talking about how the two-slit pattern doesn't match the math, how even in the single slit, the shape, of the fringes aren't what the math says they should be. All you do is just interrupt every 3 seconds. It's not every 3 seconds. It's after somebody makes an assertion. I then counter-argue their assertion, or their false premise, or their grotesque straw man, or their inability to actually quote what I say instead of their perverse paraphrase. Anyway, it's about a stream of consciousness bullshit. No, you can't demonstrate that again, so whatever, just demonstrate how dishonest you are. It's not a stream of consciousness bullshit. It's an explanation for why, like, interferometers are, based on a principle, an idea of a diffraction gradient. That it's basically a multi-slit. The beam splitters basically creates a multi-slit device that will inevitably cause the light to diverge. These are facts, asshole. It's not a stream of consciousness. Yeah, you can call others idiots 10,000 times. Well, that's not what I do. Most of the video is explaining how their physics is broken, how it's idiotic to have a scientific paper published with a 25% margin of error, and lie about. No, I'm just saying, you're just proving who's the liar, okay? Because you're not going to demonstrate I lied about anything. There not being any evidence. Again, I didn't say there's no evidence. I said it's too weak for any kind of conclusions. And in many cases, it's extremely weak. Like in the example of the wave nail in the coffin evidence, that it looks a little tiny bit like water waves under one circumstance. Shit. And that's still not going to change reality. Well, the fact that you people are so devoted, again, just religious fanatics, because no matter how weak I demonstrate your evidence to be, the evidence for a God to be, you're behaving just like the religious fanatic. Instead of explaining how the evidence isn't weak, you're just getting more and more entrenched in your bullshit. 12:2. I don't know, these incomprehensible tags they place even on themselves. By the way, I happen to agree with just I agree that just because you can't find an absolute frame, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't disprove it, but it is enough to render it meaningless. Again, it's just an insane statement. The fact that we can't test for something means it isn't relevant. We can't watch atoms fuse, therefore nuclear bombs are irrelevant. I mean, just silly. Just like how a God can't be disproven, but it can be rendered meaningless. And again, how? If people believe in it, it's not meaningless, idiot. It has huge implications. It decides cultural evolution, you retard. I mean, you know, wrong beliefs are just as dangerous as correct beliefs in terms of just as powerful in very negative ways, jackass. But even then, the statement that the speed of light is invariant under Lorentz transformation, the speed of light is invariant. It says you. And I couldn't give a fuck about Lorentz, frankly. I mean, these little gimmicky games of turning curves upside down and calling it a transformation is just, you know, making it sound like it's something more interesting than that. You know, it's not. Even if an absolute frame existed, it's still a positive statement, you fucking dope head. It's still a positive statement. Yes, even if an absolute frame exists, it's still a positive statement. Yes, that's correct. I don't know. I don't understand. He has this in bold. Even if an absolute frame existed, it's still a positive statement. I don't get it. But whatever, who cares? Or you're saying Lorentz. Lorentz is God. No matter what the truth is, Lorentz always wins. And I say, fuck you. Maybe if you did something about your your nerve-wracking anxiety. So again, another irrelevancy. Why don't you post something so I can pick on your personal life, asshole? You're a fucking coward. How small exactly is your penis? How small exactly is it? I've tried to show you. I've tried to slow your pulse rate. Fuck you. And you could have a chance to think carefully. Again, all of this is not an argument, but that'd mean you wouldn't be able to do your idiotic honor roll speeches. Again, this crap that this has something to do with presentation or messengers or anything else. I mean, I plead with you to show me your evidence, and what do? You just keep arguing nonsense. Your feet are too big, and your penis is too small. Alright, considering that you can't even understand the fucking Pythagorean theorem, I understand. How do you think I don't understand side angle side or something? I took a civil engineering course, actually, asshole. What I mean by that is you actually apply it when you need to. Again, what does this have to do with anything? What exactly are you claiming? What bit of geometry have I overlooked that necessitates me for creating greater emphasis? Or even have a human decency to accurately represent what others are saying? No, I actually play what they're saying. I actually played the 60 symbols, but you're the cowards. Like I said, you're the cowards who don't answer a single one of the critiques I point out. Not one single criticism. How your evidence is weak. How your lensing evidence is preposterous. How if it actually was there, it would have all kinds of implications that you don't account for at all. You don't explain why what we should be seeing we don't see. You just run away. There's no point in bringing to you any information. Likewise, I can keep pointing out how, look, all you have to do is concede the logical truth, which is the evidence is really weak for these hard conclusions that you've drawn. And that's very dangerous. And scientists should understand that that's one of the biggest dangers, is jumping to conclusions too quickly. But you don't give a shit. As if other people are servants to something. I don't know what that even means. These YouTube videos aren't a fucking trial. Well, the argument is they should be. The argument is that's what an argument is. A trial. That's all you're doing. It's a battlefield of ideas. What do you think that battlefield should be made out of? Real bullets or evidence, asshole? What should win the day? The guy with the evidence or the guy with the misparaphrase, the lying representations about how good their evidence is, and their grotesque lies and desperate lies like Puro? No, single slits create diffraction patterns in water. No, they don't. And you're certainly not qualified to be a judge. I'm not claiming to be a judge beyond the fact that I understand the mistakes you've made, and you're making them not. You're not even. The scientists made them for some sort of legitimate reason. You know, especially in Einstein's day. Yeah, there was no explanation for gravity. So yeah, you could fall for a kind of silly explanation. But there's more evidence now, and enough evidence to know that you're way out on limbs when you start inventing things like dark matter, you know, special invisible man matter, you know, and start blaming it for the crime. Let's see, an attorney or even a fucking defendant for these matters. Yeah, fuck you. I'm more qualified than you, for certain. Done more study than you have, you ignorant turd. Rude turd, to boot. And here's the pathetic part. You have to interject lines of dog shit into your speeches just to make sure you mix all kinds of buzzwords together. I'm not even going to bother with this one. Sorry. I mean, you have to make some kind of evidenced argument. You want to keep whining that I actually play the videos of your allies here, and I actually read your fucking comments. I actually have to show right here in public. I'm exposed, so to speak. If I don't have an answer or if I don't have an explanation, it's going to be quite obvious I don't have it. You're the cowards. The fucking cowards. Shit. You already mentioned multiple times that you have no need to learn relativity. Or no, I said I have no need to spend years understanding convoluted Einstein field equations. Relativity is a concept, okay, idiot? It's a silly notion that time is a dimension and that gravity bends it, that matter bends it. It's stupid, or any of that crap. And then you somehow feel qualified to speak on any of these issues. I'm qualified to point out the obvious, that a 25% margin of error in a scientific article is nonsense, and it should have never got published. I'm certainly competent to point out that your math doesn't match the results in the two-slit experiment, that it's kind of bogus for you to apply Huygens in one equation and not apply Huygens in the other equation, that you change the variable from the slit width to the thickness of the impediment. How can you possibly do that and have any kind of consistency in the mathematics? What's your theory of why that works? That's not the issue itself, but then you go on to say insanely stupid statements that are contradicting yourself. Well, you will never prove any of that. You say that he is one claiming that the inertial frames make photon travel more distance in the same amount of time. That's what a perpendicular line means. A tangential line. Whatever happened to your suggestion that you can always add more time? I'm saying you're the ones that can always add more time. That's the catch. You just create more time. Okay, because you have this idea that you can time dilate, and therefore you don't see the passage of time as time passing. You can take a long time and turn it into a short time. You're the one playing the game. I'm the one saying, no, I'm taking Einstein's principle, the idea that you can't break physics. It's always the same physics. You're the one that's changing the physics. You're saying no matter whatever speed I go, I have new physics. New physics for every speed. Serious, how the fuck is it so hard for you to keep these thoughts together in your head? Well, again, you're the one who doesn't seem to recognize the fact that photons aren't baseballs. Photons aren't baseballs. Photons aren't baseballs. You should be able to figure out in your head that there's something wrong. If a photon's behaving like a baseball, there's probably something wrong with your theory. How the fuck do you manage to twist and stretch the things that you should be responsible for, I don't know what this is, onto someone else? I know there's a chance that you won't even bother to process your own suggestion that you can add more time. Again, I'm not going to play the game. You're the one, you're saying there's this notion that time is a dimension, that you can fuck with it. I don't think you have a fucking chance, asshole. And then declare that it is we who keep up or something. Look, the fact that you idiots think that because I say I can't prove you can't create time means that I believe you can create time. You seem to don't understand that. No, I'm just saying I can't prove your silly fucking great pumpkin doesn't exist, but it doesn't exist. Oh, and you want others to be held accountable. Whatever. I mean, I want you to be accountable for the fact that you haven't explained how your lensing theory is rational, that you haven't explained even how your silly interferometer is rational. 3 solar masses of radiation. What kind of radiation is it that warps space? How can that possibly be called radiation? How does radiation do that? If you want to a coherent dialogue, no, I want somebody to actually provide evidence and a hard argument. And you have this limp, scuzzy dick argument. Maybe you should try to avoid these idiotic trigger-happy responses. Whatever, this is all there is, as I pointed out before. When a grown-up shows up, then I'll have an argument with a grown-up. But until then, I have to have arguments with assholes and idiots like you. Fanatically insane turds. Because despite all the dopamine, so another irrelevancy, being shot up from making them, some of your responses are responses to the opposite of what the person is saying. Again, I play their video. If I was making these glaring errors, then why don't you point them out? Why don't you quote them? I mean, if you want to quote my videos for the, whatever, the 1% of the time where somebody says something and I wasn't quite sure what the fuck they were talking about because they were so fucking inarticulate, and you want to post those, fine. Play your game. I'm just saying that I can play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clips and I can just do it over again. If you want me to go back to the 60 symbols video and I can play that guy's clip over and over again, and you're saying that the more I play it, somehow it's going to make sense that he was talking about a binary star system going supernova and it's going to have a tomorrow, it's going to still be a binary system tomorrow, and that's reasonable? You're a fucking idiot. Also, when you throw all the buzzwords, whatever these buzzwords are in, you're just appealing to gullible idiots. I don't know what the buzzword is, but okay. And it just so happens that they don't have anything useful to say too. It looks like you're on your own. Whoops. Yeah, no, it's a really challenging subject, physics. You have to do a lot of work to be literate in this subject, so most of the people aren't going to be literate. They're not going to be capable of making useful commentary, okay, because they don't understand any of it. They don't understand the difference between these different forces, but the fact that they all have certain things in common, like all the forces happening to be moving at the speed of light, certain little things like that. They don't understand all that stuff. They don't have a context in which to build an argument. Those two things are exactly part of the recipe for idiocracy. Again, no, you are the definition of it. A big long comment, you didn't make a single fucking argument here, you didn't present any evidence of how interferometers can actually detect bending gravity waves. Alright, same guy, of course, just a litany of crap comments. I can't wait for another episode where you get to rapidly go back and forth between reading shit on the go, I don't know, and spouting off at the top of your head. You can't get these, when you start talking like horse feathers or something, you can't even get your metaphors to match, your retard. Hasta la vista, ha, fuckhead. Well, if that's your attitude, yes, fine, fuck off, I'll help you, fuck off. Let's see if there's any other comments by this douche. Oh, there are. Alright, so I'll eliminate him at the proper time. Alright, so another lunatic, probably Layek Johnson, some kind of foreigner probably. To get a few things out of the way, let's address 2 points. I won't address anything. Your claim that Huygens isn't applied consistency has already been addressed. No, I've already addressed the point that you haven't demonstrated it. Okay, this forum post doesn't do the equation. Okay, all it does is it just does the derivatives. in this case, we don't need to do derivatives. You don't need to derive the equation because you have the variable. So I'm saying let's go in and I'll give you the length, I'll give you the distance, I'll give you the width of the slit, I'll give you every single variable. You don't need to do a single derivative. And I'm saying show me that your equation matches the results. Do that without manipulating the variable of the slit width. I mean, all of these equations have huge liabilities. As soon as you take them out a few numbers, they go really south, really badly. As soon as I make the slit width a certain huge length, your math breaks entirely. It comes up with answers that can't be true. All right, your claim blah, 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 multiple times by different people already. So again, that's just a canard that they have some evidence. I'll reiterate it. Not a single video on YouTube he can link to where the math is done correctly. Not one single video out of probably 100,000 two-slit experiment videos, or let's say 10,000. Not one does the math right. Not one lecture can he point to. Not one college lecture online can he point to where the math is done correctly. And he's going to be this arrogant and say, oh, we've already pointed out to you how we have the secret place where the secret right person does it the correct way. Yeah, fuck you. They don't apply Huygens for the double slit and include the slit width for the double slit equation because they simplified their presentation for the sake of time. It's just bullshit. Most physics lectures don't do that, and if they're doing that, they're pointing out that they're taking a shortcut. You know, that they're not doing something up to whatever snuff. They're doing a mathematical cheat. None of the professors say that. You can apply Huygens for all situations. You can do anything, that's right, with math. You can play any kind of game. That's right, you could put the slit width into the formula and do the formula and just make it go away. And that's the game they're playing. That's why they have the two experiments numbered differently. One experiment, the end numbers are marking where the bright spots are, and in the two slit, all of a sudden, they're marking where the blind spots are. Why do you think they're doing that? Why does that gimmick exist? God, you're just such assholes. I mean, you're just so bored. Okay, you can apply Huygens for all situations and get even more accurate equations as a result. Well, why don't you tell Khan Academy that, because he had some problems getting actual accurate results. So now, with that in mind, I should emphasize this. At best, you were making a lie by omission when you were talking about the difference between the two slit setups. How's it a lie? The premises are different. One's point source, one's not. The same slit width. In one case, you argue you can reduce it to a point source. Why can't I reduce the single slit to a point source then? If it's okay for the double slit of the exact same width as the single slit, same exact width, if it's okay for me to consider that width a point source, to use that cheat, why can't I use that cheat in the single slit? Oh, that's right, but you won't get the same fucking answer. You'll get wrong answers. That's why. Because it's not applicable. You're rigging the fucking math. God, you're just... And you call me the liar, you fucking piece of scum. Man. The other thing, you say that the intensity curve doesn't match the intensity bars of real life. Yes, quite obviously. Maybe you should stop eyeballing. Okay, that's, you know, so when you notice it in the electron experiment does have a nice wave pattern, by the way. It does come out quite gradual, just the way the math says it should. But that's because they're bumping electrons. It's not the same. It's not exactly the same effect. That's why it comes out different, because it's electrons hitting electrons, not photons hitting electrons. So I shouldn't eyeball the electrons either. I should assume that my eyeballs can't see the pattern correctly when it's correct in the electron experiment. And so maybe those are really just hard bars and lines. I mean, bull fucking shit. And get a real instrument to measure the light. Well, again, they've done that. Those experiments are on YouTube. There's all kinds of real high quality, high resolution images, asshole. And they don't look anything like the wave. You should realize that your eyeball and ordinary cameras are shitty instruments, right? Well, how come they're capable of taking a picture in the case of the electrons? Get some real instruments, and then maybe you could have the right to talk about shit like this. So again, he's pretending like it isn't true. When, like I said, I could just show the Professor Lewin video, and you can see the single slit, and you can see the... Why are they art? Why are the fringes blobs that are rounded? Why are they rounded? They're not supposed to be. Why are they? The math doesn't say so. and whether or not the pattern is a bar pattern or a curved pattern. Seriously, this type of reality check is something you need. So again, he's arguing that it's completely true, that it's a perfectly wave pattern, and that somehow we're just not seeing it right. That all the images on Google are broken images. The images aren't showing the real pattern because they weren't done right. I plan on doing slit experiments, just for this purpose. But I want to try to get the quality as high as possible so I can rub it in your nose as hard as possible. You fuck. But for calling me a liar, you can go to fucking hell. I didn't lie about anything, asshole. Fuck you. Goodbye. That's just so fucking rude. If you're gonna call me a liar, prove it, fucker. Prove it! That's just slander. Alright, so here's another idiot. Baz Taylor. Considering how the universe began, evidence of recycling of lighter elements suggests there is no beginning. Especially of nothingness. And he lives a fucking Facebook link. Yeah, there's really great science on Facebook. And how many times do I say, I just don't give a fuck about the origins of the universe? You think it's important, I guess. Whether a duck shat it or a turtle shat it, it matters to you. Who shat the universe? Oh, fuck. I mean, you people are just so fucking uselessly stupid. Anyway, me Blake. He has an icon that says me on it. Ken is a genius with extreme patience. Sheeple can never get it. Oh, what a brilliant argument. Nothing in your argument suggests like, oh, that's so compelling because me Blakey says so. Oh, of course he must be right. Ken is a genius. A genie myth. Yeah. Hilarious. Alright. Oh, this is 12 asshole again. Well, I'm glad he wasted a lot of time typing this drivel because it really is a drivel. I was debating whether I should bother or I'll give up. Yeah, no, I don't give a shit. Just fuck you, as soon as possible. At 29 minutes, the problem with rebound force and the shadows being filled in is brought up. How does he reply? Rebound force and the shadows being filled in. So again, these people keep denying that mock gravity works. That there's this theoretical idea that they have a field of even pressure and you put two things in the even pressure and it's a straight line force, that this object and this object will cast shadows on each other. They'll create low pressure because the straight line force will be blocked this way and it'll be blocked this way, and there'll be less pressure here and the two things will move together. So they keep denying that's a truth, even though it's on Wikipedia. It's mock gravity's called it for this reason because it actually works. It models gravity perfectly without any Einstein equation, and the only flaw in it is this problem of acceleration and velocity in free space. But without that problem, it's perfect. and they keep pretending it doesn't work. Amazing. The response is about 9-degree collisions and 180-degree collisions, as if that's something people can't understand, and that response has nothing to do with the argument put forth. I can't help you. I have images on the website. The collisions, not all the black things go 180 degrees, not all the red things go 90 degrees. There's rules. The two different colors have two different opposite reactions. So there's 4 little simple rules, asshole. There's no point. Then at 3040, he says nonsense, and that when energy goes somewhere, we can follow it. So he doesn't believe that in any system you can always trace energy through the system. You can always find if you burn a certain amount of gasoline in a combustion engine, you can count for the work, the friction, the heat on the tires, the road vibrations. All of the energy can be accounted for, and it's moving through those other surfaces just like it moved to get into the car in the first place, and it never stops. It just keeps moving through the system. So he doesn't think that is the truth. Okay, apart from the previous mention of elastic versus inelastic collisions, again, they're kinetic. So I don't care. There's no such thing as elastic and inelastic. They're just useless terms. All right? Because all you're really saying is one where all of the energy is converted immediately, immediate reactions and non-immediate reactions. Those are the only 2 kinds of reactions. Ones that have a complex time-dependent cycle to the rebound, and ones that do it all instantaneously in terms of the transfer of the force. All the force goes from one body to the other body. And in other reactions, the force bounces around between them. There's a negotiation, and then force is released. And I've made it perfectly clear. Everything in the subatomic universe is perfectly kinetic, perfectly fast. Complete. Quanta only interact instantly and completely. Alright, elastic versus inelastic, and has nothing to do with the argument. Finally, at 3125, he makes a true but irrelevant comment that it matters where you shine the light on the spheres. So again, he's still arguing Mach gravity. Mach gravity doesn't suppose that everything just reflects off the 2 spheres, in the sense that what's really happening is the momentum is being absorbed, and that's why the planet moves. The momentum is absorbed, and that's why the center of the sun's gravity moves, is because the stuff being blocked is absorbed, not reflected. For fuck's sake. That's what the movement is a consequence of. Absorption. Oh, Jesus Christ. Even though it's pretty clear what was meant there. Nothing was meant there. Again, it was just more of your effort to change my theory into some other theory. Where did I make the speculation that Mach gravity works like perfectly reflective, like perfectly chrome balls, and you shine light on them? Where did I say that's how Mach gravity works? But regardless, you have to do that in a non-reflective atmosphere for there to be shadows, and you're still going to get shadows. So what's the point of the argument? There are just discrete. I mean, obviously you can't see in objects that are perfectly reflective. It's going to be very hard to see anything. There are just discrete thoughts laid out by people to interpret themselves. I mean, you're certainly not going to see absorption. So these are just discrete thoughts laid out for people to interpret themselves. What thought did you provide here? There's no coherent point across that entire time frame. I don't even know what that means. and these responses aren't even anywhere close to the target. Well, that's your impression, asshole. I think I clearly demonstrated he had 1 hour of video, and he provided not one shred of evidence defending any of his obnoxious declarations of truth. Your evidence is weak, and none of you will admit it, which makes you all look incredibly desperate. I mean, I have a much worse opinion of science and you people after this conversation, just because of the fact that, yes, the very fact that none of you will even admit the lensing evidence is weak is just so obvious that you're fanatics. Seriously, what the fuck? And certainly the two slit experiment is certainly not nail in the coffin evidence of that photons are a wave. They're not even, it's not even good evidence, let alone nail in the coffin evidence. And here you won't admit it. I am literally dumbfounded in how you can let your own consciousness get away from that. Whatever. The fact that you're dumbfounded by something is because you probably have so much shit in your orifices of your face, your eye sockets, everywhere, because you have your head up people's asses all the time, no doubt. And just one more thing. In the first quarter of the video, you say that you can't detect the change in the interferometer. You say that you can't detect a change in the interferometer. Here we go. Because the light has to go forward and then backward. Yes, it reflects off a mirror and comes back through the whole system again. That's right. The entire point of the Michelson interferometer is to circumvent that. How do you circumvent it, retard? And you're wrong that it doesn't make any difference when it comes to photon travel distance or time of flight distance. And you're wrong that it doesn't make any difference. Again, if the paths are exactly the same length, and they stay exactly the same lengths no matter where you turn it, then how can you prove light slows down? Or there's an ether, or there's drag? How could you possibly do that if the two lengths are exactly the same? The going and the back are exactly the same. I mean, all you can do is prove is that, yes, if photons are banging into something. My theory doesn't suggest photons are trapped in an ether, and the ether has a direction. That's not my theory, idiot. Oh, fuck. You said that having a photon move forward is like an expansion. No, I've never said any fucking thing like that ever in my life. And having the photon move backwards is like a contraction. It's an expansion and contraction of the distance, idiot. Obviously, if the photon leaves here, and this is point 0, and the photon's going to go that way, and I'm moving the thing it's going to hit. So it takes time for the photon to get to it, and by the time it gets to it, the thing has moved that way. Because you're moving the experiment. Right? Then on the return trip, this thing is the thing moving. Alright? The mirror, the beam splitter is now moving forward. And it's going to move forward exactly the same amount of distance that other shit had moved. And now it's in the opposite direction, because now the photon's heading for that difference. So it just undoes. That's the expansion of the path, and on the way back, the path is contracted by exactly the same amount, idiot. That equals 0, fuckhead. Alright. Let's see. And the difference when it comes to photon travel distance or time flight difference. Again, I'm the one saying photons always travel the same speed, no matter where they're going. Even in a medium, they're still traveling the same speed. They're just traveling a different distance. Because the path has changed. You said that having the photon move forward is an expansion, having the photon move backwards is a contraction. But the contraction takes place for a smaller amount of time. Why? How's it a smaller amount of time? There's no smaller amount of time. It takes exactly the same amount of time to go this way as it takes to go this way. Oh, man, you're just so full of shit. If you do the math, that's what you find. Well, says you, and no, I don't think so. Asshole. Fucking asshole. Alright, last one, I hope. Yeah, good. Sorry, I didn't readjust the position of this stuff, so you probably weren't able to read many of these. Sorry, too bad. This is a great live stream because it shows just how selfish and lazy you are. So this is, I guess, a conversation with David of Creation Sciences Fun. You know, dissident science who's friends with creationists. Oh, for fuck's sake. Because it shows just how selfish and lazy you are. Right when there's a misunderstanding between D. Histner and you, yeah, and all you care about is just shitting your own thoughts out. Well, that's, yes. You don't think he talked way too much too? I don't understand. He has his agenda, I have my agenda, and our agendas don't match at all, okay? He thinks any criticism of the establishment's appropriate, even if it's a complete loony, and I think that just makes dissidents look like assholes, and it's really bad for our business. And whether or not he understood you well, all on him. And whether or not he understood you was all on him. Whatever. You didn't even had a thought or maybe try to diagnose what D. Histner was misunderstanding or where the miscommunication came from. No, you just went into drive mode as usual. I don't understand your point. We clearly don't agree at all. I mean, we agree about one thing. Conventional science is a naked emperor, and their science sucks. And other than that, we don't agree about a fucking thing. Okay. Is misunderstanding or where the miscommunication came from? No, you just whatever that is, and had fun steamrolling the conversation. Whatever. I didn't have any fun, that was clear. I found the conversations very uncomfortable because he just kept turning them into, you know, any dissident is a great dissident. It's not unsurprising that this only led to more confusion to the point where both of you had no idea what the other one was saying. Look, his premises are idiotic. There's no charge in the universe. I mean, charge is one of the most reliable concepts going. It's just silly. The Earth is expanding. He believes the Earth is getting bigger and bigger. I mean, he's a fucking idiot. This type of self-centered selfishness isn't something that's admirable or great. Fuck you. And it's exactly what leads you to make all your fucking misreadings of comments. Well, who cares? Again, these comments, you could misread them all the fuck you want because there's no substance in them, not any fucking evidence. Good God, this is like seeing a retarded child hit himself over and over again. And again, I can say the same thing about you fucking imbeciles. You're just Borgies lapping up the shit. Just say, feed me more shit, feed me more shit. Please, sir, can I have some more shit? Oh, please, sir. You're desperate to lick up the shit. But at the end of the day, you are an adult and you should be treated like one with responsibility. I don't understand this whole idiotic point. Exactly where in my conversation with David did I cross some offensive line? Besides me saying, please, let's not talk about the right of any imbecile to spout shit. Let's talk about how, you know, we have to stay focused on one thing, not arguing our individual theories. Because if I start arguing my theory and you start arguing your theory, guess what? We're not going to get along very long. And on that note, we're just a stinky, skanky ass cunt. Yeah, and you're a useless sack of useless shit who couldn't muster up in 25 comments. You couldn't provide one single shred of something called evidence. Asshole. Okay, so done. Oh, here's another one I haven't read before. The guy with the hair is Q-less, so it's Building Utopia. That's his name. Yeah, the guy with the hair is clueless. I've followed EU, the Electric Universe, for a while, you know, and this is a pitiful misrepresentation. So the video where I'm playing the guy talking about his religion, you know, how the Electric Universe is going to save the world and we'll all be lovely humans once we all believe in electricity better. I mean, I played the fucking guy's video, and this guy's whining I misrepresented. How do you misrepresent something when you play it? I just don't understand this pussy argument. I mean, how small is your dick, Building Utopia guy? Man, of their arguments and what they are about. Well, it was clear what they're about. They're about dressing up in tutus and praying to the electric god. Oh, electrical god, I love you. Oh, it was disgusting. Creepy shit. Alright, so Dave Randall, probably an asshole, no doubt. Kepler laws of force-free and mass-free, merely geometric. Newton gummed up the works. Sorry, there's no charges, polarization, energy, photons. Guess what? I'm not here to dispute you, wacky. I'm here to argue with conventional physics. I don't need to cut you a new asshole, wacky man. Fuck off. Suspend a slinky, partially tied up helps. And expand its acceleration-induced shape to find the motion. Acceleration without motion is like square circles. Oh, sorry, I didn't fix this again. Anyway, acceleration without motion is like square circles. Yeah, square circles are pretty cool. Even pressure, I mean, same difference, asshole. Newsflash. Is a refresh of mech, gravity. It's based on size, not mass pressure. Oh, fuck you. Zip tie slinky, a small amount of free expansion below, attach a stick to the upper. Again, I'm just not here to waste my time debunking your insanely stupid, imbecilic UFO fucking theory that the Earth is expanding and gravity isn't pushing things into the Earth. I mean, you're just too fucking stupid. Alright, I think you might find this video kind of interesting. It's an interview with Lawrence Krauss. Why would I find an interview with Lawrence Krauss interesting? He's a fucking nut. Just irritating. If the light being measured is a douche, that's what he is. If the light being measured is the reflection of the phase of the reflected light, that's not going to really help. The longer the tunnel, the more time it takes for the light to hit the mirror and bounce back. So does the time difference make the device more accurate, sensitive to the change in the mirror? Well, as pointed out, no, they're not claiming the mirror moves. They're claiming the distance between the mirror and somehow the photons move. And somehow the rocks of the Earth don't move. So the tunnel doesn't get bigger, the beam gets bigger. Because if the tunnel got bigger, then the mirror would have to get bigger. Everything would have to expand. The whole Earth had to expand. And somehow it was just the photons that got bigger. That's their bullshit. So clearly they don't think it's about the mirror moving. They think it's about a beam of light expanding. Does the light reflect at a slightly different angle? Is the angle so small of a degree so that the only way you can detect the angle is over greater distances? Again, the distances are irrelevant. If you're just measuring the mirror's movement, then distance wouldn't matter. They have to have more distance because they have to create more empty space. So the more distance you have, the more empty space you can inject, because apparently in every Planck constant of space, a little bit of empty space pops in. So they need a gimmick. They need a way to take a little bit of this little expansion space that's going to pop in, and they need to pop it in a whole bunch of times. And so they need to have a length so they can pop in a little bit of a space a whole bunch of times. Some kind of bullshit like that. Obviously it's crap. Alright, so I think that's it for anything new. Good. Alright, so sorry I wasn't paying attention to the scroll issue, so my bad on that one. Still have not, yeah, still have it off. So I gotta quit doing that stuff without putting it back in position. So my bad, sorry. But anyway, till next time and such and so forth and whatnot. Oh, fuck you people. You're fucking stupid.